Well, good morning, my lovelies. It is 1:33. What are my synchronicities? 33 um, a.m. on Wednesday, August the 28th, 2024. So I'm starting to wear down. My eyes are tired. So we'll try to make this good and we'll try to make it fast. Last night I did a video talking about I see dead people. Not exactly, but yeah, actually, but not literally seeing them right in front of my face, but in another form. But by now, hopefully, I'll upload that video and you see that one before you see this one. Um, but one of the things that I spoke about was talking about a cousin. What year was it that he passed? It's well over 20 years ago. Well over 20 years ago. Uh, I think my son was about 8. Yeah, I think my son may have been about 8 years old, and he's 33 now. So, yeah, it's been a minute. So I wanted to talk about him as sort of like a part two of what I was speaking about last night, um, about people that crossed over making contact. I know it sounds strange, but after watching last night's video, it, it shouldn't be strange to you. Like, it's starting not to be so strange to me. Uh, but as I was thinking about this, uh, a couple of things popped into my head about my paternal auntie, the only one we have left. And it was her son who passed all these years ago. And then in 22, she lost a second son, and he appeared in a dream to me a few months ago, um, along with the sister that passed in 21, and the aunt who was also in this dream with her second son and my sister. Um, but I could not see her in the dream. She was like a, around the corner in the room in another part of the building or something like that. Um, and her eldest daughter, my first cousin, was somewhere over here, and I can kind of see her, but I could see my deceased sister standing here to the left of me in the dream, and my cousin who passed also, like my sister did, but this cousin more recently, and he was speaking to both of us about his personal effects. Oh, I never opened it. Do I want to do that now? But it wasn't those personal effects. It, it was like a dorm room, and it had shelving. This is not the cousin I plan on talking about. But something was given to me and my siblings from his eldest sister that I just spoke about that was over here in the dream. Okay, this is freaking me out. I don't think I want to do that. Well, you know what? I'm not going to open it, but oh no, maybe I don't even want to pick it up or touch it because I don't want to start anything that I can't finish or anything that I don't want to be dealing with tonight on a supernatural or spiritual level. But maybe I'm supposed to. He looks so much like my dad. I'm not going to show his picture. Hey, cousin, I'm free. Wow. That means a lot to me. And I hadn't spoken to him in years, but 2 weeks before he passed, can't remember what prompted it. Huh, you never know what's going to happen. Charlotte's Big Adventure. Welcome to Charlotte's Big Adventure. Buckle up. You're in the passenger seat along for the ride. It gets bumpy, and it is what it is. You're along for the ride. Charlotte's Big Adventure in Charlie's World. So, welcome aboard. Buckle up. Hey, cousin. It wasn't 22, it was 23, February of 23. I had not planned on this at all. Not you two. Well, why not? I did mention a family reunion, but oh my gosh. But this is what was given to me. Oh, it was kind of heavy too. You know what? I should open it. I haven't opened it. I didn't want to deal with it. And this was given several weeks after he passed. And I remember his eldest sister calling me around December of last year, December of 23, saying, well, it's almost been a year since Don passed. Um, anyway, oh, he made some jewelry. He was into the culinary arts, so he was a chef, which kind of, it's in our blood. Uh, and so I guess he did this on the side. It's kind of weighted too. Feels weighted and kind of bouncy. Am I going to open this, or am I going to just keep farting around like this? Okay, so let's set this to the side with cousin for a minute and see if I can get back on track with the original plan. But in Charlotte's big adventure in Charlie's world, nothing is ever as you would expect it to be. Well, nothing is ever what I expect it to be. Surprise! All the time. All the time. I never know. Box of chocolates. Okay. They used to call me Shalati. Chocolate. Never know what you're gonna get. Um, okay, so let's go back to um, his older brother who passed away. So I said I was going to talk about him visiting me in dreams for years after he passed. Now, his brother was, and I want to use names. I don't know if it's a good idea or not or whatever, but maybe I shouldn't. I want to use names, but cousin, let's just let's just call him cousin V. So cousin V, he lived around the corner from me, or I lived around the corner from him. He was one of my two eldest. I had two older male cousins, the eldest of the male cousins, and they were both favorites. Um, and he was cousin D. He passed away a couple of years ago, and he was the eldest of them all. And got stories about him too, growing up. Oh, just wonderful growing up with a huge family and cousins and stuff like that. Oh no, I didn't. No, something had to be in my eye. Yeah, let's just say that something had to be in my eye just then. Um, but cousin V, the one that visited me in dreams, and I'll tell you about those dreams in a second if I can stay focused. Um, and then cousin D, the eldest of all the male cousins. Um, those two, along with my paternal grandmother, knew that I was pregnant with my firstborn when I was 4 months pregnant. And I hadn't shared, that news with anybody at that point. And I literally had not started showing in my pregnancy until I was 7.5 months pregnant with my kid, with my firstborn. And you still weren't sure that I was pregnant because I just wasn't very big. And one person even said to me, "Oh, it looks like you're gaining a little weight, huh? A little weight, in around here." And I just laughed. Oh yeah, yeah, baby weight. But you just when I turned 8 months, then I was like full blown, and it was without a doubt you could tell that I was pregnant. But I said all that to say, at 4 months pregnant, I was not showing at all. Period. And but these two older male cousins knew. My grandmother, my paternal grandmother first, um, and I might not have even been 4 months because she passed away shortly thereafter. I might have been 3 months pregnant. Oh, that's trippy. But she knew I was pregnant. Um, she didn't come right out and say it, but based on some other things that she said to me and some stories that she told me, um, That made me feel so close to her, and share a bond, mother, grandmother, granddaughter bond that I'd never felt before. But so I might have been 3.5 months pregnant, 3 months, 3.5 months pregnant. And then when she passed, I was 4 months pregnant, and uh, cousin V and I were caravanning down to the southern part of the state to go to her funeral. We were driving and we were caravanning. I was following behind him. And then when we got there, and after services and everything was over, um, we were all sitting in um, in my aunt's house. It's a bunch of us. This is the aunt that had 11 children. I miss her so much. Um, we were at her house, and we were all, well, a lot of us were all in this one room. And I was sitting kind of like kitty corner across the room from the eldest cousin, cousin D. And the room was filled with all the other younger siblings. And out of all of his siblings, out of the 11 of them, I was the age of the two youngest of the children. So I was like one of the babies in the bunch. Cousin cousin D, when we were growing up, he being the eldest male, my aunt always had, like really big house because of all the children. And it seemed like there was always a back house, so like an in-law unit or something. And cousin D, um, I remember the back house being like his house, and music was playing. It was like it was a party, but it wasn't, a street party for a bunch of strangers or whatever. It's just he put on the music and the red light, and I remember a bunch of grown folks slow dancing, and Frankie Beverly and Maze playing, and the Isley Brothers, and who else? I just Marvin Gaye, and that kind of old school Motown um, flavor. But I just remember my head being, to the waist of like cousin D and all the other big people, and they're slow dancing. We grooving to the music, and all the little kids, we running around playing, having a good time. And you know, there's always, a lot of food, but that wasn't it. We would eat, and that wasn't even important. That was just part, in order to maintain, some your health and normalcy. You ate, and then we kept it moving. It wasn't sitting around eating and filling our faces all the time or whatever. It was probably too because it was so many kids, 11 children. And then you add in, my aunt and her husband, Uncle Jesse. There, all of us, um, the other children. So it was a whole bunch of mouths to feed, but everybody was fed. Everybody was always happy. Cousin D, I don't know how I got to this, but he would, he had, you know, he had a lowrider before lowriders were even invented. I don't know how he got all of his siblings into that Impala. Um, Cousin V had an Impala too, but that was passed down from his mom. But nonetheless, it was an Impala. But Cousin D had a lowrider before they were called lowriders, and he would pile all of his siblings in there, and then all of us. Um, And I don't know how we did it. And we stayed at the beach. We stayed at the beach. We stayed in the get together in the yard. We stayed in the back house with the music bumping and the red light, lighting up the house and all of that Marvin Gaye and Isley Brothers and Frankie Beverly and Mays and Isaac Hayes and whoever else was. I can't even think right now. I'm so flooded with memories. But Cousin D said all that to say, I miss those cousins so much. Man, they were my two oldest male cousins, love them to death. They knew I was pregnant almost before I knew I was pregnant. And that's just to say how strong the bond was and how much, you know, they, how much love I felt and how much care was, given as, a family member. Of course, reciprocated. But anyway, um, but going back to Cousin V, uh, living around the corner from one another before he passed, 2 weeks before he passed, he came by the house and his behavior was like so out of the ordinary. Um, Let me back up. The older cousins and the older males in the family, everybody, because I was, like I said, one of the younger ones, very protective. Okay, very, very, very protective. So, living around the corner from me, I remember one night it was like 1:30 in the morning, and I had a class, and I had an assignment that was due to be turned in that day, later that day, and I was grown, um, and I was working and I was in school, and I had this assignment due, and I don't know what happened or what went wrong, but I called a classmate, still a good friend, forever, always, since, school days, college days. Um, and I needed, I think, a printer. So he came over, this ungodly hour, um, just to say how good a friend, he was or is. It's been years though. And brought his equipment over and hooked everything up and put, got the paper going and we're hitting print. And so I'm able to breathe a sigh of relief because I'm going to have, my assignment printed out and be able to turn that in and get my credit for, for the work. And so the light was on. We were doing this in the kitchen. And so the kitchen light is on and you can see that from the main thoroughfare. And I don't know where my cousin was. It doesn't matter where it was coming from. He was on his way home. And I was under the impression that he was walking. And I don't know why I was under the impression he was walking, um, because he drove. I guess that's not important, but that just occurred to me, so I said it. But so there's this knock on the door, almost the door being kicked down. It's like, you knock like the police, kind of thing. It scared me so bad. I nearly jumped out of my skin. My friend slash classmate also, it startled him, right? I was like, who is it? He, he announced who it was. And I'm opening up the door like, what? And he burst in. He started looking around. He sees my friend and classmate He said, "You got to go." I'm like, "This is so and so. This is my classmate. What are you doing? What are you talking about? I'm trying to get this homework assignment." He said, "Well, get it, do it, whatever. It didn't. You got to go." I was like, "What is wrong with you?" But then I thought about it, and it's so hilarious to me now because he was probably thinking, because he's one of these brothers, he was a man's man, and he raised some men. He had three children, a daughter, two sons, and he raised some men. Okay, and he was no joke. God, I miss him so much. Yeah. I'll see him again, though. I'll see him again. We'll have family reunion because we done lost a lot of people, as all of us have. But so he's kicking out, my helper here. He said, "I don't care what you doing, whatever you doing, you got to wrap it up, nigga. You got to go. You got to get up out of here." And so I'm thinking. So he's looking at, and this is before the term booty call. This was like way before they came up with the term. I'm sorry, I'm just saying because we all, heard the movie. We all heard the slang and the language and all that. But now knowing that term, that's what just came to mind. And I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just keeping it real. Okay, this is my life. This is my story. This is my adventure, and I'm just sharing and telling you what I'm sure my older male cousin was thinking, because you never grow up, to your parents. You never grow up to your big brother, you know. You never, and your your cousins, or or like brother cousins and sister cousins. They're like your siblings, and especially when you grow up together. And so um, I'm sure that's what he was thinking. He was like, "Not tonight." He said, "Not on my watch, not my little cousin." I was so, I don't know, I can't even remember what he said, but in hindsight, thinking about it, I know that's where his mind was, because he practically kicked in the door before I could finish unlocking the door good and twisted the door knob. He was like, he was he was in the house. He said, "You got to go." No, you got to get up out of here. That was hilarious. I was so embarrassed. And my friend was like, "I had not planned on going here. You never know where we're gonna go, right? In Charlotte's big adventure." But I'm just sharing and sharing my life with you, and reminiscing, and we'll get around to cousin Vernon after he passed. But this was in life, okay? He knew me. He was protective, um, and by him being a man, he's looking at the time. You know what I just thought about? You know what I just thought about? That's probably where he had just come from. He had just probably just come from some sister. That's probably. I could be way off base, but that just occurred to me. That's probably where he had just come from. So when he saw my light on, did a car in front of my house. He said, "Yeah, no, no, you're not her." I don't know how I even got kids. I had electric fences around me, dogs, security guards, the military tanks. I don't even know. But boy, if it was something going on up in there, it would have been curtains for any dude. He was just my friend helping me with my getting my homework assignment printed out. But anyway, so that was cousin D. Revelation. Oh my God. All those dreams. Well, of course he was checking on me, but it didn't occur to me until sharing that with you, that memory so fondly and so deeply, um, and so protective. I just got the sense that that's what those dreams were. Wow, you guys are sharing my life with you, sharing my adventure, my journey with you. You're seeing a lot unfold right in front of our eyes together because my life is unfolding in front of me. And so I understand why the Lord wanted me to use my voice and to share myself with you, to encourage you, to motivate you, to support you, to give you something to be able to relate to you, to be able to relate to, um, and hopefully learn something from, be blessed by, and be inspired, and to know you're not alone in whatever it is you're going through. You're not alone. Okay. So, so anyway, because as I'm going through this, some of this stuff is like really blowing my mind, the spiritual awakening aspect, and some of what I'm going through with the malignant female narcissistic sociopathic psychopathic building manager abuse situation. Um, this stuff is heavy and it's spiritual and it's deep and it's a lot. That's a phrase that I'm finding myself use often because that's the best way that I can describe it. It's a lot. So I'm glad I have you to share it with. Maybe that's why the Lord had me do it. I'm thinking He's got me doing it to help you, which I know is the case. And that's the way I've been looking at it all of this time. However, it's helping me. I realized that the other day, but again, just now, to a great degree, it just kind of really unfolded in front of me as in, this is for me. Me sharing this with you because carrying this by myself, it is heavy. It is heavy. So, but anyway, um, so so with the dreams with cousin V, before he passed, 2 weeks before he passed, he came by the house and he had um, the German Shepherd that I had never met before. He was a dog lover as well, and I remember he had a couple Afghans. He had did he have that bulldog or pit bull or something at the time that he passed? Or am I mixing that up with the shepherd? Was that a shepherd? Yeah, it was a shepherd that he ran through the house. But anyway, I remember the dog's name. No matter. Um, he came over. He had the dog. I had never met the dog before. Huge dog. And he opened my front door and he opened the back door and he was telling me to watch this. I'm getting cold. Telling me to watch this. He didn't ask if he could bring the dog in the house. He didn't know if I guess he knew, growing up with animals and a lot of dogs. But whatever was going on, it didn't matter because he was on a mission, right? And so he ran the dog through the house, through the front door, through the back door, and out of the back door, and had the dog jump the 6 foot fence and was doing all kinds of stuff. And then I was like the next day, but it was like every day for like 2 weeks. I don't know, a sweater or something. Um, he was at the house doing something, showing me something, telling me something, instructing me on something in my face, doing. So this one day, another day, he came over, and it was about my son, who was like 4 at the time. Now, keep in mind, he raised 3 children of his own, a daughter and 2 sons. Um, the son was one was the eldest, and then the daughter was the middle child, and then the second son was the youngest. And when he came over talking to me about my son this particular day, um, he was like in my face with his finger telling me, with this boy, you do this and you do that. And you don't do this, and you don't do that, and you do this, and you do that, and you do. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Uh, okay, uh, uh, left me kind of catatonic. Okay, sure, I, okay, I got it. I got it because he would be so proud of this young man today. He would be proud of me. Um, but anyway, with the job that I did raising him, um, but as a single parent, and so that was another day, and then on one of the other days, he came by and he had the 2 youngest children with him, and so he grabbed the kids by the hand and grabbed my son, walked past the living room, sat on the foot of my bed, and bed wasn't made, room was a wreck, my son was rusty and ashy, I was rusty and ashy probably. Well, it didn't matter what I was. I wasn't even looking in the mirror, but I'm mentioning my son because don't be mad at me, son. It was my fault. It was like early in the morning, and you know, probably a Saturday or something, and we weren't up and we weren't dressed. We were just kind of hanging out and, you know, or getting ready to. It was one of those days, and we were not looking presentable to take photographs. Okay, it wasn't a time for family portraits. But he came in like a whirlwind with his two kids in tow, the two youngest in tow. And if my son was 4, was he that young? Because I'm thinking of the pictures at his funeral, and my son was not 4 years old. And he also kind of gave away my baby sister at her wedding because my dad's dementia was starting to kick in, and he missed his cue when it was time to give the bride away. So cousin V stood up and said, I do. Who gives his bride away? And I was like, Dad, stand up. And he was all confused, and so he stood up and like, what? And so cousin V stood up and poked his chest out and said, I do, So he gave baby sister away. But in the presence of our confused dad, so they both did. But so he has. But what's so strange is that picture. The last picture that was taken that he made me take that day was the last picture that was taken of him. So why is it I'm seeing my son? Is that a gnat? Um, at about 4 years old, with his little Joe Boxer pajama shorts on. But on the picture, maybe he just looked bigger on the picture. On the picture, I'm seeing him looking like he was about 7. Uh, Maybe he was like 6 or something. But whatever it was, um, he was all in my face about how to raise his child as a male child. And but he came over with his 2 children in tow, his 2 youngest in tow, grabbed my son and had his kid sitting beside him, and had my son, I think, on his knee, um, and was telling me to take a picture. And I'm like, dude, look at first of all, ain't no way I'm taking a picture of my kid looking like that. Okay, because he would stay spruced up. Okay, I kept him spit shined and clean and always looking good. You never saw my kid out of pocket. Ever, ever, ever. And this one particular day, my cousin came a knocking, and my room was throw up. I don't know what I had hanging from the windows for curtains. I'm just saying, right? Bed wasn't made. Um, who knows what else was going on in that room? But I'm looking around, and I'm like, hey, no way I'm capturing this in some sort of permanency on film for anybody to look at somewhere down the road. Well, I guess I was wrong. I guess I was wrong because he was planted. He wasn't going home. He wasn't leaving. We were gonna be there until hell froze over. Pigs started flying with purple polka dots floating in the air. Cousin V was not leaving until I took the picture. And the sooner I realize that, the better. I know I can be stubborn, right? And plant my feet, make up my mind, and then they wonder where my kids got it from. My sister said, I'm like, these kids are so stubborn. And she looked at me like, really? Apple don't fall far from the tree. I started thinking about what my mom used to say to me. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess I guess you're right. But yeah, I realized after about 20 minutes or so that that's a battle I wasn't gonna win. So we would still be sitting here to this day. If I hadn't taken a picture, he'd have still been sitting on in that other location. We'd still be there. Life would not have moved forward in any type of way if I had not taken that picture. And I knew, okay, this is a battle. I ain't gonna win. I never throw in the towel. I never give in. I'm gonna keep, you know. Speaking of what happened at the dealer today, I was like, you don't know me. I ain't leaving until we fix this problem. All I know is keep my registration tags, and until you get to the root of this issue, I'm not gonna get my tag. So you need to figure something out without me having to come out of pocket. I have a nickname the family gave me. One of my brothers gave me. I won't even talk about it right now because I don't want you guys calling me that nickname. It's only for family, or people that really, have heard me